either the Swain or the Vlad, these picks where Betsy can also play frontline at the same time, and they're never going to get them.
Yeah, permabanned, and for a very good reason, but we also see the Varus ban coming in once again, or Varus coming in this time against ROCCAT and the Jhin. So Vlad is actually up because ROCCAT had to ban it themselves, so that's not really a big deal.
Yeah, it's not a big deal because ROCCAT could see exactly what Fnatic were doing there. They were saying, well, we know you either ban the Vlad or we get it for Febiven, and Febiven's just going to carry. Yesterday's games with the Vladimirs, we saw exactly how much you can do with that champion. It is kind of ridiculous right now. So first pick, wow.
Bird's the word.
Was there ever going to be a different one for Fnatic right there when you look at how there hasn't been a whole lot of jungle presence? We have got Azir locked in. Not quite ready to shuffle them all around yet.
No, but ROCCAT have some answers to search for here. They clearly didn't want Gamsu to get his hands on Gnar once again, so they took that away in the last ban. And they're definitely thinking about the Caitlyn. I would definitely take that. It's been far and away Steelback's best champion this split.
Oh yeah, really impressive performances on the Caitlyn. Was not banned in this game, but was banned in the previous game. So they're going to take that long-range AD carry for Steelback. It's worked well for him.
Yeah, and the Trundle is also picked up. Likely going, of course, over to Parang. We used to talk about the shuffle down to the bottom side, but that is just happening less and less these days. For Fnatic over to their side, jungle deprioritization, really. Second rotation makes a lot more sense. With the Nidalee off the board, the Gragas is an option, the Rek'Sai is an option. Spirit can get his hands on whatever he chooses, pretty much. But I don't think they'll be taking it on this rotation. Doesn't look like it.
I don't think it's going to be...
Well, I have no idea, actually, now.
I don't think it's going to be Lulu Teemo. Teemo at that point. Teemo? Is that like a cow-based Teemo skin? I was always saying we should do a Moo, where it's like a
oh, God. Stop giving the skin ideas, Stress.
Well, the crowd wants Teemo.
I mean, they do.
We didn't get anybody to 20k retweets, though, so unfortunately no Teemo in Solos.
Unlucky. The Ezreal's locked in, the Karma as well, so they've got a lot of zone damage here too, to couple with their Azir.
A whole lot of comfort picks alongside it as well. We've seen what Reckless can do on the Ezreal, picking up multi-kills time and time again. His most played champion. And honestly, I'm looking forward now to seeing... I'm looking forward to seeing if I can speak English, really, as the first
It's hard
thing.
sometimes, I found out.
It tends to be good. I'm looking forward to seeing what Fnatic have as their last two picks. Jungle is still available. Will Spirit go for the Elise that we just saw him have a good game on? His Nidalee is not available. Gragas is up if Airwax wants it. The Rek'Sai is as well. So a lot of options.
Yeah, options for ROCCAT as well as they look for the last couple of choices. Airwax does opt towards the Gragas again, and we have a Bard for Raze.
Third time we're seeing it come out from Raze. I don't know whether I'd say I've been particularly impressed by Raze's Bard. I certainly feel like we've seen better Bard performances. Mickey has been pretty good on the Bard.
Really, really good ones. Raze has struggled in general, so I mean, he's definitely still got some things to learn here. As Fnatic eyeballed their last lock-ins. Aside the question, what is Gamsu going to be taking when they ban his Gnar away? Does he go back to an old favorite?
Well, will it be the Olaf? It is there. We've seen it a bunch of times. They got a Karma to speed it up.
Oh, we got a Shen, so that's going into the jungle. They switch it around on us.
Okay. So it's the old days where we saw Olaf coming out of the jungle. It used to be one of Reignover's picks for Fnatic. Spirit coming in, saying anything he can do. Spirit's going to try and do it better. We'll see whether it actually works. We've seen a couple of games of Shen come through. Seen it kind of all around the world. Really, a lot of regions have started picking up that global presence, plus the shield, you know, the ability to play multiple lanes. It works out very well, so should be able to keep Ezreal, keep Azir alive a little bit longer. But what does that leave us in a situation for? We're looking for mid lane for ROCCAT into Azir. Does Betsy know the Vel'Koz matchup well enough, would be the question here, because that would be the one that we've seen in this match.
The Victor, though, he can at least match him pound for pound in range.
Yeah.
And that's a little bit more standard.
Not as interesting.
No, that's true. But last game was... I don't know if you're going to top that in interest.
Yeah.
At least not in kills.
I don't know. I like seeing the counter picks. We were talking about it yesterday.
Let's kill the hype before we start.
With Febiven, we were talking about, like, hey, there's so much you can play, because Froggen tweeted at us. So Betsy is going to pick the standard Victor. It's his most played champion right now. has been pretty good on it, but again, at the same time, if Betsy doesn't get a lot of attention from Airwax in the early game, that's when ROCCAT start to struggle.
And they've definitely shown it time and time again. It's just a big, clear weakness for theirs, one that Fnatic are going to hope to exploit. But you know, they've got a huge helping of damage and a lot of safety as well. That Shen pickup, you can never really be sure you're going to be able to take someone out real quickly when there's always a Stand United available. Coaches will be able to walk off the stage, shake hands one more time as they give their players a last-second pep talk before it's all said and done. It's tough time. It's crunch time for ROCCAT. Can they get a 1-1 on the week? Once again, take a game off top-tier team like Fnatic.
Do we maintain our week of ties? We'll have to see whether the other stream are having a tie as well, but it's still possible, Pyra.
Well, I know you love ties,
10
Stress.
ties, the dream.
But what do you guys think at home? Keep those Twitter fingers going. Hashtag FNC win if you think Fnatic is going to close out the 2-0. Will ROCCAT give them a little bit more trouble than they're used to? Hashtag ROC win if that is your state of mind.
If that is your state of mind. See if we end up with that tie. Europeans love ties. I don't know whether I'm European anymore, Pyra, but at this point, inside, we're in the European LCS. We're going to go for those ties right now. We got Fnatic loading onto the Rift with ROCCAT as we get ready to head into Game 2 of the day.
All right. Fnatic got a lot of trouble last time from this ROCCAT squad. Double poke. You've got the Victor damage. You've got the Caitlyn damage. There's a timer to say, hey, how long do we need in this game before we start getting big? But Febivin didn't need much of time at all, just a lot of kills. All starting up in that top side, but ROCCAT, I have a feeling they might be a bit more conservative with this composition.
Yeah, I certainly agree with you on that one. This time, no real, Ashe engages. There is no Ashe in this game. It's a lot more about scaling.
I gotta admit, I thought Reckless had nice Ashe.
I think he didn't really use it as much as he could have, if I want to put it that way. There were times earlier on in the game where I feel like he was holding the arrow.
And the flash.
And the flash.
Yeah, but, I mean, nonetheless, it was still a crucial part of their team. They're not going to have that GC ability.
Blushing, more flushed.
Take yourself a minute if you need it. Take a look at our masteries across the board. Pretty standard stuff on top of it. Last time we did have the fast swap push. And ROCCAT have already preempted up to this top side, but they're going to walk right in towards. So this is known right now by Fnatic.
It is known. So at this point, Ray's going to try and do the old disruption play. You can see Reckless going to do the same on the bottom side with Yellow Star. Ray's is too late to the party. Spirit already had it.
Yellow Star does get a pot shot off at least, though.
He does, but the key thing on that one, because they were rushing, there was no real way to give some of the smaller minions over to the top laners. So all of the experience from both sides actually goes onto the junglers. See this play time and time again. Febivin actually cuts forward in the lane, doesn't get hit by the Cosmic Binding, and that spells the end of the level 1 gank attempt.
Better luck next game. Febivin is perfectly fine in this matchup for now. Crucially, though, take a look at some of the summoner differences. Obviously, Febivin is once again taking exhaust, not necessarily against Betsy.
There's going to be a Trundle running at him later. When Febivin jumps in as well, he can get it perhaps on Steelback. There's a lot of targets that he can exhaust. Still fairly good targets to take down. We're in a lane swap. Fnatic are slightly ahead on the tempo. You guys know the standard on this.
Yeah, same old song and dance.
Same old song and dance. So I'm going to take this opportunity to talk about something that me and Divicio were talking about yesterday on the desk while we were going towards the post-game lobby. We were talking about, compositions right now. When you look at what is a standard composition, especially in Europe, there's basically no point in the game where compositions have heavy limitations. You look at the likes of it, like Caitlyn tends to have a good early game, kind of a weird mid game, and then strong late game. You've got a Victor and a Trundle to kind of supplement that. So a lot of these mid picks, there are very few periods of the game where they can actually be punished. And it does make for gameplay that is fairly linear. I'm going to be honest, where both teams, it's a lot more about vision control and the decision-making side of it, rather than actually the draft. Because you can come out of a draft with basically the same kind of pattern of composition with multiple different champions in each role.
That is very true. And the little things that can spell the difference when you have these, fairly linear games are the choices in objectives. Infernal Drake comes out now first. So Fnatic last time, you know, they had the superior dragons that allowed them to really get an edge in contesting those objectives, but this is a later game dragon buff. It's still a very important one, but it's going to be very, very important to see who focuses on it. And right now, ROCCAT, they've got the numbers advantage in this bottom side. I don't know if they feel strong enough to try and contest it early, though.
Yeah, the buff itself is more beneficial later in the game, of course, but also the impact it has is just a little bit faster than the other dragons. So it's always confusing to say, like, the dragon is later game. I've heard a lot of people try and say that, and I'm like, oh, actually, you've got to choose to fight around it in the early game, which does have that different kind of impact. So there is always that cascade effect that you pick it up early, it will end up later. But if you pick up kills from a fight early, Pyra,
oh, we know what can happen.
That really has that ripple effect.
All you have to do is watch the last game.
Like,
oh, okay, Airwax.
If you watched the same game before, the same thing happened where Airwax tried to trade in the jungle, and he's trying to trade into Spirit, who, funny thing is, Spirit has 1% crit, so at one of these points he's going to just swing at him and chunk him down pretty handily.
Yeah, and Fnatic started out a little bit more ahead on the draw with this reverse push, but burned a teleport quick on Gamsu. They've now let him solo it, and this actually has allowed time for ROCCAT to catch right back on up, but obviously at the cost of something like Airwax losing his smite, but everything's pretty much so standard, so even. And I feel like this is how ROCCAT like to play early games.
I mean, ROCCAT like to play early games if they don't have to play it. They just rather nothing happens, and either Airwax can get Betsy ahead, or nobody does anything because they want to play for like post 20, post 30 minutes.
This is there's a good old custom map I used to play back in the day on StarCraft. It's called No Rush 20 Minutes. It's ROCCAT every single time.
Every single time.
But people always broke that rule. It was a gentleman's agreement, but there weren't any gentlemen back in the day, apparently.
You'd always just place photon cannons and just creep forward. Yeah. It doesn't count as a rush. It's defensive structures.
Yeah, and at 20 minutes, it's like, oh, yeah, the entire map.
Just like defensive structures that we've... No, not really in this kind of setup. But there is some sense of defense when you've got a bit of a Shen kind of combo you can bring into
There's
a fight.
Insurance here.
There's insurance.
Fnatic have a lot of ways to deny ROCCAT picks, but you know the real key is how much burst they can get out of Betsy, how much sustain they can get out of Steelback. And honestly, ROCCAT have the tools to set up some really, really big fights, but I don't feel like Raze on this Bard, we haven't seen enough out of him to say that he's capable of doing that. So I feel like it's kind of put up or shut up time.
Yeah, and it's an important game to pull a pick like this out in as well, because, you know, we've talked about how important it is to not only get a dominating 2-0, and, you know, for Fnatic, they would love that, maybe take the opportunity to try and jump up above G2 with a win here. They're not thinking about that too much. We heard Forbidden talk about that yesterday on the desk as well. But ROCCAT at least salvaging a point with everything around them kind of going wrong for a lot of the teams. Everybody could end up in free fall as we head closer and closer towards playoffs. We're only 4 weeks in, so let's not get too drastic on this.
Yeah, let's definitely not react too much panic with all the things that have been going back and forth. Spirit really low, but you know, you back an Olaf into a corner, he'll do a lot of damage, and he picks up that first Infernal. Fnatic are even going to be able to secure this tower. Yeah, it's traded on the bottom side, but that's advantage to them, and ROCCAT actually can't put it away.
Got baited by a low health. So, ooh, careful. And then he realizes Olaf, he gets low, he heals back up, it's all good.
That's why I used to play him way back in Season 2 in the jungle. It was like my go-to pick.
Yeah?
Could literally destroy anybody in the jungle.
Okay. That's an oddball pick.
Yeah.
I like it.
I play... You know, I have a secret, a not so secret now Smurf on NA that I just play Singed all the time. I'm not your average League player,
Is it called
Stress.
Dyrus?
No.
Okay.
I actually die a little bit more than that.
Do you get to play much League of Legends?
Every now and again. I'll queue up into a game.
This is what Perks are saying you probably shouldn't do in a game, which is try and get the damage on the inhibitor tower. ROCCAT tried it, Fnatic tried it, there was no dragon. The next one is Infernal, so we will keep track of that, so it's going to get fairly explosive. But yeah, if you heed Perks' words of wisdom, never push that third tower, not unless everybody's dead.
Yeah, so he definitely wouldn't be happy with this game, but ROCCAT, again, it still speaks to their style. They go a little passive. Yes, they've lost a bit of gold. Yes, they give up that one dragon, but they're still not too far behind.
There is a reason, though, Pyra, why they stayed. For ROCCAT's sense, at least. They were trying to get a couple more 100 gold on Steelback, because he recalled and he's got the budget Caitlyn build. He's got the pickaxe
Oh, no.
going now towards the Hurricane. He backed with enough for a
bad,
pickaxe and about just under 200 gold. So he was ever so close. Like one more wave would have been enough for that BF sword. But he's in that situation where he needs to get towards that Hurricane a little bit faster. So Steelback hurting somewhat.
Gumps is actually sitting on quite a lot of gold right now since he's been able to significantly outfarm Parang. He's a little bit quicker on the draw because Parang's kind of been hanging back towards his inner turrets and just trying to be a bit more with the team. So even though the item differential is actually fairly big, you know, as soon as he gets back, he's got about 2,000 gold he'll be able to invest in. And with Stand United, I mean, I don't feel like anyone on Fnatic's dying anytime soon.
No, and the other thing that ROCCAT have to be careful of is the numbers game, really. Because there is only one teleport for both teams. Then, of course, that amplifies Stand United's, you know, ability to even up a fight. So you never really want to go aggressive in the 2v2 if you are on ROCCAT's side of things. So if Raze fires out like a Bard ult now, he's got to be very careful that suddenly Gamsu doesn't appear. Airwax is on the bottom side of the map, but he's spotted out now, so Fnatic have that visibility. Thing is, Parang is close enough to Gamsu, and with him, actually, look at how far behind Parang is right now on the experience. We hadn't talked about this matchup yet. Parang is getting starved out again. I'm going to cut every other point here and talk about that, because this is going to be key in this matchup. Parang finally gets some experience pushed towards him, but Gamsu, ooh, it's mid lane with the first Bard.
Yeah, Febby, he's able to quickly flash out of it. Ace in the hole trying to zone him off. Will do just that, and they can't find enough damage on the tower, but it's very difficult. Only 10 minutes in, they just don't have enough to take it down.
And Fnatic didn't even use Stand United or teleport there. Febby been holding his nerve, knew that there was nothing else after the Bard ultimate had, I don't want to say missed because he flashed out from it, after Febby had escaped, so it is still going to be worth. Does, however, buy Parang a little bit of time to farm up, but it's Reckless that's doing the same in the bottom side. Steelback will now go and take it away from him. Yeah, we hadn't talked about that top lane advantage yet. It's going to be key because Gamsu, if he can continue to push Parang in, there's still a little while before Parang is able to actually fight against Gamsu. Parang's going to get that Titanic Hydra first, and then Subjugate will turn the matchup back around.
Yeah, still.
Oh, Spirit's going in on Betsy.
Now Betsy, exhausted, flash away, but you can't stop Spirit. Ragnarok. And they just get a real quick first blood, inspired out of there.
Easy first blood when you look at an Olaf. I mean, what can Victor do? Place down Gravity Field, tries to flash, tries to ghost, not enough distance to clear as Spirit is able to run out of the jungle. Now at level 8, runs straight into Betsy and just chunks right the way through him.
Yeah, there's not much to worry about when you are immune to CC, so Spirit coming up real big on that play, but it wasn't the only one involved. It all started with a pretty big chunk around the side.
Yeah, and all she wrote on Betsy, even the ultimate comes out from Reckless, everybody trying to just pick him off. A lot thrown by Fnatic, but still works in the exchange there.
Yeah, the cooldowns come around really quick as well. So, Airwax is still having a pretty good time.
In the wrong
it's
month.
a bit early, actually, isn't it?
It is a little early. It's a touch early on that one for us when you look at it.
So the next Infernal Drake's going to be about a minute away here. ROCCAT, it's hard to see them giving it up for free as they did last time, but obviously Spirit's shown that he can chunk it down really fast, and this is the kind of champion that he likes to play alongside the Elise, who's able to tank it up with Spiderlings early on. It gives them an early advantage that Fnatic can use.
Here's an item that we don't see too often, though, coming out in general, and then on
It's
junglers.
glorious.
Spirit was sat on a Catalyst, and I'm like, well, the only item it makes sense for it to go into was a Righteous Glory. For the record, we have not seen this recently from junglers. You look at Olaf's play recently, Diamond Procs over in NA Challenger, same with Wisdom in EU Challenger. They have not been running the Righteous Glory. So now we get to see how that gotta go fast. Olaf prioritizing that over everything, by the way.
Yeah,
does not complete his jungle item. Just decides, hey, I just want to go aggressive at people. I want to run in. I want to get the kill. And that's cool. I'm Olaf.
He definitely hasn't needed it. So he'll have an extra speed boost. They've also got Yellow Star's Inspire to make use of that. And now we go back to contesting blue buff. Spirit feels confident enough to just chunk right through him. He throws down the Ragnarok, and in comes the Stand United following. You can't follow that portal, and they chunk down Steelback now. Fnatic have no fear in this jungle, and they show why. 2 quick kills, looking for more.
Just reminds me of the likes of I before E except up to C. Well, Olaf's the exception on going through Magical Journey while his ult's running, because you ain't locking that down when he gets on the other side. He's going to come through and swing some axes at you. But, you know, Olaf is the kind of pick akin to the Hecarim that we've seen a couple of times where the players are talking about, you know, if you don't go hard, if you don't go huge in these fights, it's very difficult to carry out of the jungle. But Spirit has had a very good setup here already, has got a lot of farm, got the first kill onto himself, now gets an assist during this fight. And again, he's cutting in from the side, is going to just go aggressive, pops the ult, doesn't even care. Shen ult is on him as well, and I believe it's Gamsu that ends up picking up the kill on Steelback. Yeah, in fact, it was. Meanwhile, Febiven got a kill. Didn't even catch that the first time we saw this. And from there, a lot of flashes burned to keep the rest of ROCCAT alive. This game is starting a whole lot more convincingly than the last one did for Fnatic.
Yeah, they picked themselves up another Infernal Dragon, even more of a lead here. It's only 14.5 minutes in, but ROCCAT, you know, they're already in a little bit of damage control mode. See if they can grab themselves a quick turret trap placement by Steelback. But Febiven's here to clear the wave away, and Steelback even getting chunked.
Oh, Raze.
Startle. Raze gets chunked right through the portal. Oh, and Febiven looking for more. How about that, Azir?
Oh, Spirit's not done yet. Smites him. It was all a bait. It was a ruse. They got me hyped.
It's a zoning ulti.
It was a zoning chilling smite.
It's not about the kill. It's about sending a message sometimes, Stress.
Didn't actually pop right to his glory during
No.
that. So
he held it.
He held it. He's just doesn't want to go too aggressive,
right.
too far, too fast.
Fnatic have blown a pretty big hole in this game right now. ROCCAT, they've got some real work to catch up. What do they need to do to keep Spirit off their backs?
Oh, that is a good question because he's an Olaf. So let's take another look. I'll get that point for you in a second.
Take your time.
So I really don't know what Raze thought the rest of ROCCAT were going to do in that scenario, where you ult way into the enemy jungle just to stop Yellow Star. As for what ROCCAT have to do to beat Olaf, it sounds really stupid because you can't hit him with a lot of your crowd control, but it's just deny and avoid fights. Like, this isn't helping because Airwax is now getting it caught out, is ending up feeding the rest of Fnatic right now.
Yep,
Just gives another kill to Fnatic, and Febiven picks up another 3-0 now. You have to just not be in a position for Spirit to get into these fights, but at this point, look at the damage that's already been done. It's not Spirit that is going to carry this game, it's going to be Febiven once again. This was the setup to the fight. TP comes in from behind, good fight and setup from Fnatic. Gravity Field is used onto Gamsu, but it doesn't already matter. I believe Gamsu's just going to flash right on top of Airwax.
And that barrel just, it buys him, what, 2 seconds of life?
Yeah, it's hardly anything at that point. It's enough just to slow Fnatic down ever so slightly.
Yeah, and this is so dangerous because ROCCAT have, I mean, I'm tired of saying it late game, but you know they've got a Caitlyn, they've got a Victor, they've got a Trundle that gets stronger and stronger as things go on a little bit further. But even though we have some item spikes, we have the Titanic Hydra coming in now. Obviously, you know, Betsy working with his Hex Core upgrades, so you know he's got it perfect very, very quickly. It's just not enough. They don't have enough power to compete with what Febiven's throwing out and what Olaf can do to get to the back line. Gamsu, though, he is caught, but he's okay. It's that tickled.
So what Raze is going to do there is add to a ticking total that works out in his favor, as is pinged by Connie from our stats team, that is telling me that currently in this game, Raze has done more damage to champions than Steelback, which is a good sign. Okay, so let's put the pros and the cons. He's Bard. Does a lot of damage.
It is true.
Steelback is Caitlyn. Doesn't do a lot of damage in the mid game because you don't really want to be close enough to attack people. So there is the caveat to that, but still you would expect it. This has been a hands-off game for the AD carries where Steelback has mainly been in a lane swap, but still the point stands. I'm going to allow that stat out in the open.
I mean, I've had games like that. I play a lot of Caitlyn. It just feels bad, man. Just a little bit.
Feels bad. Yeah, but that's when you just max trap and hope somebody steps
on. You always,
you max trap anyway now.
Yeah. Got Yellow Star again. Let's see what they can do. Oh, that's a lot of chunk damage, but it's going both ways. As Betsy takes out Yellow Star, Reckless gonna have to have the ace in the whole tank. Double killed up Betsy, and that's just what they needed.
And that's the problem. You got that perfect Hex score. Now you're going to need the Silage Rod alongside it. That ultimate is going to start dealing a lot of damage in these fights. And Yellow Star, I was kind of joking. Ooh, Betsy got out.
What are you doing,
He's
Betsy?
Dead.
All right, it started so well.
I was
And
about
in
to
goes
sing
Spirit.
praises. Steelback's dead.
Yeah, no way to get out of this one. He does have to flash. He does burn his net, and Spirit runs right on over him. Tower damage, be damned.
Spirit cares not for cupcakes made for yordles. Apparently all he wants is another brewski right there on that one.
Give the man an axe. Oh, man. I mean, Gamsu is... This dynamic duo right now is getting really, really good. Let's take a look at how it started again, because it looked really good for ROCCAT.
So we were joking about kind of Yellowstar getting caught out by these ults, like Raze kind of having a vendetta on the enemy support, but it does allow Betsy to get the lockdown from here. A lot of damage comes out. Ooh. Laser into the Chaos Storm, gets it. Still potent on that Victor, you've always got to be careful.
But all it did is make Fnatic angry.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't believe Betsy steps right into these double soldiers for a little bit of chip damage, and then even takes Sundis.
Oh, that's painful to watch. That's real pain.
Yeah.
That's like the same kind of pain of watching when Ray's Magical Journey right next to the Azir and like ends up on 2 soldiers as well.
Not respecting the damage. It's definitely been a trend this series for ROCCAT. Fnatic still finding themselves in a very comfortable situation with another Infernal Dragon coming up in 10 seconds. ROCCAT got to scramble to fight this.
ROCCAT got to scramble because I thought Daenerys had the 3 of them over in Marine right now, but that's a 3rd Infernal Drake coming out onto Summoner's Rift. Spirit wants to go in.
Don't need it just yet. Spirit blocks out the ace in the hole. Still, Caitlyn needing a lot of time to scale up, still sitting just on the Runettes Hurricane. Pieces of an Infinity Edge.
TP comes out from Parang. He's got the angle on this. Bardolt comes through, hits the dragon for now. Awax goes in.
Oh, he could go for the steal here. He's exhausted. Popped up, but it does get secured by Febvin while he was up in the air. And now this fight is anything but. Crashing back down to earth is Team ROCCAT. 2 kills down.
Fnatic are probably about to rush over to the Baron right now as well. Airwax is dead. Fnatic are basically full health. They have shields, they have damage coming out of everywhere, and a 5-0 Azir is going to go straight through this Baron like it's nobody's business.
Baron getting chunked. Raze would have to have the Miracle Blade if he can even live through it. They don't need the Baron. They just keep chasing. Spirit Promasia's his way right into Steelback. 2 more kills. Fnatic keep on rolling.
Fnatic are going to share the wealth. They deliberately give over kills to Reckless in that scenario. Get him up to 3-1 himself, and just Fnatic is so strong right now at this point. 3 Infernal Drakes, all of that damage, the added damage. Betsy's going to try and come in from the side here.
Airwax goes bowling, but it's Febvin who finds a strike, and Betsy looking for more. Reckless is just narrowly going to hang on here, but they still can get this tower.
They're going to get the tower. That's another fight, back-to-back. 3 skirmishes Fnatic take. It stops them from getting the Baron, but hey, guess what, Pyra? They're going to recall, and they'll set up for the exact Baron play, now with more items, full health, full mana, everything that they need to be able to take it. Fnatic are in a dominant position for this game.
You could say that again. Let's take a look at how the Baron started. Raze thought he could get an angle on it, but nothing doing.
Well, I mean, he was trying, but he was on a ward as well. At this point, look, everybody just leaves it. I think Febby may have tried to take it. Saw like an Azir like auto attack command come out, but
there's gold to spare on this Fnatic team right now, and you know, we still haven't found an answer. How do you deal with this Olaf? How do you deal with the Shen? Saving everybody's lives. I mean, Betsy almost got Reckless, but that was all that for almost killing somebody.
Yeah. For ROCCAT though, this game's looking about as drastic, or at least it's just going down the pan as all of their other games have done. It's at least the ones where they've ended up losing. ROCCAT have tended to lose fairly hard when we've seen them in this kind of scenario, 13-2 down.
That's also, though, symptomatic of not just these mistakes that they make, but the fact that they never really stop trying. Like, kudos to ROCCAT for being a team that, even when things get this bad, you know they're still going to go for an all-or-nothing engage.
Of course, but at this point, they're just kind of running their heads into Fnatic right now. It's like the scene from Toy Story where it's like, let's use our head. And
Say no more.
Oh!
Alrighty. Shouldn't have been there, but he got out.
He used a lot to get out, though, unfortunately for Raze. Now he's not available to deny the bait attempt here, because that's all Fnatic are going to do for now. They've got Gamsu with both TP and his ult is not quite available. Just a little bit off on that one. But there are wards over in the top side jungle.
It's hard to believe this is a 24-minute game right now, Stress, with the way that Fnatic are quite ahead. Spirit pops his Righteous Glory. Gonna have to get used to saying that. As they look to push onto this tower. Ragnarok available. Bartle comes out, nails Fabivin, but the rest of the team is here. And the ult started onto Yellowstar. It's a choke point, though. ROCCAT, Magical Journey, everyone's starting to bail out here, but they are getting the kite on with Steelback. Parang trying his damnedest to hold the line, but it's just not going to be enough as he was taunted up by Gamsu. Airwax, it's just a battle of the bruisers here. Reckless will finally take him down, and Spirit is shut down after all said and done. Airwax gets something back for that, but Betsy running a little bit lower on the mana count right now. It ends up being a 1-for-1.
1-for-1, and it's the jungler of Fnatic that's down for now. Spirit finally getting punished in these fights. Only 3 kills on the board for ROCCAT in total, but that one may be enough just to slow down Fnatic's aggression for now. We know that, you know, when you take a fight like that, you end up having it not go your way, and it tends to be that teams will regress ever so slightly. They do still have a 6-0 Azir, though, so game one's anything to go by.
Among other things.
Again, though, the bot ult comes out, and there is no way ROCCAT can follow up. So Betsy's cutting in from the top, gets zoned out. Look at the damage down on his health already from Fabivin. Easily shrugs him aside in this fight. Spirit ends up taking a whole lot of damage before this fight ends because Betsy's able to turn the corner down around the bottom side, and that's where both the carries are, with nobody from Fnatic able to actually pick them up. Turret died, by the way, so it's a net gain for Fnatic this entire time.
Yeah, and a lot of that was due to the fact that it was, for a few moments, a 3v5. They were just chipping away at the tower with 2 members while the rest were all fighting. Baron Vision secured for Fnatic, looking for another fight here onto ROCCAT if they can take one on their own terms. Teleport, though, is around the side, so that is probably coming soon. Gamsu's does already get found out, and he flashes, taunting into Betsy. Not enough damage, but ROCCAT can't take this.
Force both Betsy's Ghost and Flash there. So Gamsu used everything, Betsy used everything to get himself away. And again, that now puts the onus on Betsy to be in the right position for a lot of these fights. He's had good positioning so far. When you look at how he's been at least doing in the tail end of the fights, the problem is he has died 4 times. So as I say that, I look at his stat line, and it doesn't look so convincing.
There it goes. Spirit doesn't care about your CC. Running right on in there. Parang real low, has to take the Magical Journey out. They don't have enough to finish anyone off just yet, but Reckless changes that in an instant.
That's the carries.
Got that bit of Reckless. Oh, but they knock him away, and Raze gets shuffled right back into the fountain. Fabivin does get shut down, but now ROCCAT still with 3 members. Taunted Betsy. He's not going to last long. Reckless, he's got enough damage. Sharing the well turns out to be a good thing. Reckless, true shot. And Airwax walks it out, but this tower's not going to be so lucky.
Oh man, Raze had the double catch on the carries. The Cosmic Binding came out a little too early, and by a little, I mean about half a second. He was under pressure. He was trying to move forward in a fight when there's a fight going on, doesn't want to get locked down, doesn't want to have somebody block it, but still the timing was wrong on the Cosmic Binding coming out. I like ROCCAT's composition, I like what they're trying to do, but unfortunately, once again, the execution is not up to the level that it needs to be to deal with an opponent like Fnatic.
They're just getting outclassed, and you can see Spirit, they blow a lot of their disengage, and he's still able to run right on through it, and this prompts the whole start of the fight.
Yeah, Parang thought he could get away, ends up taking so much damage here. Gamsu goes in. No flash to follow up, but Parang was mispositioned, couldn't get back in. So look, Raze tries to cut forward. The gravity field is there, but the timing is off. The minion line was kind of cutting back in, so I could see why Raze wants to try and edge that out as fast as he can, but it was way, way too early on that, and Fnatic were able to just continuously carry on here as well. Reckless doesn't quite hit with a true shot barrage, but this game overall has been as sharp and as fast a downturn as the pound took today for ROCCAT when you look at it. 17-4 on the kill totals. Fnatic want to get the Baron. Look to take it for themselves.
Might be able to. Have those gold stats. It's going to be a golden Baron for just a couple of seconds. But they don't need it necessarily. Gamsu, he's run right on into the gravity field, and Spirit, he's run right on through it. Magical Journey. He's not going to opt to take it, but Gamsu will instead. Parang way too low from Reckless around the backside. This jungle owned by Fnatic.
Fnatic are not going to let this go either at this point. They just want to continuously look back for the Baron, look for the bait, see if they can get anybody. Steal back, Ace in the hole gets channel.
Blocked by Spirit, tickles him. And he's getting really, really big right now. This whole team is getting really hard to deal with. Yeah. Fnatic can play the game completely on their terms, and ROCCAT, you know, they've got to march to this beat, but they made their own grave in this one. Airwax getting chunked all the way down. Another magical journey. We've seen this one before. This time, Gamsu doesn't opt to take it, and it's back towards the Baron once again.
And again, ROCCAT just, I don't feel like they fixed any of their issues is the biggest problem with them. We saw a game yesterday where Betsy, Fraze is dead again.
Once again, Airwax nearly going down. Betsy's getting bopped around the side, but he does manage to find a revenge kill onto Febivin. The Baron is still being done a bit half-heartedly. This might be a chance for ROCCAT to break in. Airwax, he's got one chance on it. Spikes it away. Can ROCCAT take the fight? In the ensuing Spirit does take him out. It is a 3v4. Reckless is trying to change those numbers.
They need to try and get at least one person out with the Baron buff for now. Spirit wants to go. Great.
Oh! That is one way to stop an Olaf.
That's an interesting kind of weird interaction. So, you can't disrupt an Olaf, but if you get stuck between two pieces of terrain and bugs out on it, I guess, because you can't run through terrain.
I mean, ROCCAT just got the miracle steal coupled with not getting wiped. Let's see this again, because, I mean, once Raze is dead, it looks real bad.
Yeah, it looks real bad. Fnatic at this point, like Reckless, if he had the vision on Airwax here, wouldn't E over and would actually just finish off Airwax. Problem is Airwax is only now in vision and goes over the wall, gets the steal, manages to stop Spirit. And hi Reddit, because you're about to clip it from here, because we know this is going to end up going. Oh, we didn't end up seeing it. Okay, there was, yeah.
Darn.
The interaction.
All right, well, we found Olaf's one weakness, traffic cones. Now ROCCAT have got a Baron power play to work with, and they're still looking to try and take down the outer in the mid. Fnatic, I mean, by no means does this change a whole lot about this game, but it gives ROCCAT a few minutes of breathing room if they even want it, because Gamsu has started the fight and steal back right in the back. Spirit runs right through the front line, and they don't care a damn bit about this Baron. Double kill over to Reckless, and suddenly it's only Airwax standing.
Only Airwax remains. Fnatic, it's going to take a lot more than a traffic cone to stop all 5 members of Fnatic at this point. Airwax is probably dead here. Oh,
going to be able to dash back into Fountain, but there's not a whole lot that ROCCAT can do to keep their game alive. So I know you love Ty's stress. I don't think it's in the cards today.
Not today. We're taking a break from Ty's.
Fnatic definitely getting tired of it. 31 minutes was all they needed to knock down the Nexus turrets, to take down ROCCAT 2-0. No contest, Fnatic.
And they had another death to raise just as we see the game ending.
I mean, that's pretty much the story of the game.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, not to pick on him, but it was not the most impressive Bard performance.
I mean, this was just a straightforward game from Fnatic when you look at it. I mean, ROCCAT, you could see what they were trying to do, building a composition that when you get later on in the game, you've got the Victor, you've got the Caitlyn, you've got these, you know, champions that can all work together, but then the ults from Raze just didn't find the right targets. There was no real way of ROCCAT from following up, and that means that a lot of their earlier game, you know, setups for the team fights just didn't land. And if you can't get that against a team like Fnatic, who in this scenario have like the Ezreal, the Azir, and then Olaf that's going off in the beginning of the game, makes it very easy to be able to take a lead and just run right through.
And I think that's the key words right there, run right through.
I was going to say, speaking of running right through,
well, all of Fnatic are pretty much doing what Spirit was able to do this entire game. A few moments from ROCCAT that you thought maybe they can get back into it. That Baron steal was nothing short of brilliance bred in desperation. But it came so late. When you're down 10,000 gold at 25 minutes, it's so soul crushing to try and climb back.
Yeah, I mean, you see that situation where it's like, well, they steal the Baron, but it actually doesn't matter because ROCCAT still have to tuck in, you know, brace for impact when Fnatic just start running up mid lane and go, okay, well, we're going to fight you, and your bot ult better be perfect, otherwise we're going to be able to run straight through. And realistically, at that point, the game was already over for ROCCAT. It was like the slimmest of chances.
Yeah, and ROCCAT definitely have to go back to the drawing board. They've got a lot of work to do to try to figure out their team identity, what they can do. But admittedly, this isn't the type of opponent that they need to beat, because Fnatic still looking like one of the better teams here in Europe, not without a lot of mistakes. It's true. But today's performance shows that they are definitely a cut above a lot of the competition. And they did to ROCCAT in that game what they were looking to do to Origin in Game 2 yesterday. What they did do to them in Game 1, and it's kind of typical of Fnatic to close this cleanly when they are on point.
Still issues, though, when you look at the other games in the series. Game 2 against Origin, Fnatic falling behind. Game 1 here, they didn't fall behind. They were slightly ahead.
I mean, the game kind of went like this.
Yeah.
But Fnatic still had it in
control. I think Fnatic will look at that and actually be upset that Game 1 was quite like that. They'll look at Game 2 and say, okay, that's what we want. That's how we want to play most of the time, because generally it was quite a clean game. A couple of plays here and there that were not necessarily over-aggressive, but where you actually choose to trade 1 for like 4, which is obviously your benefit every single time. So it makes it look a little bit messier, because it's like, ooh, ROCCAT take a couple of kills. Not enough. Fnatic still looking strong.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's really nothing more to say than that. But let's hear it from some of the team themselves. Quickshot standing by with Yellowstar.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. I am joined by Yellowstar. First and foremost, congratulations on the 2-0. The second game was a lot more cleaner, a lot more convincing. But the first game was very chaotic and very crazy. What were some of the reasons into why we had two very different performances today?
Okay, so I think in the first game we had to find a win condition, which was a TP flank from Gnar. We recognized it like somehow really late, so they were just poking, playing around the vision, and then that's why we were struggling, because we didn't have really hard engage. So that's why we were not able to actually find a way to force.
Yeah, it ended up being a little messy. It was fun to watch. Yesterday's series, similar vein. You take down Origin in a very convincing game, then that ridiculous 80-minute The Dream. It sparked a lot of conversation that Europe as a region, the teams are overall weaker than we've seen in a while. Do you think that's fair, Yellowstar, that Europe, because these teams are trading games, are actually looking weaker than usual?
I mean, we can only know after playing against them, and that's what happened at MSI. Like Europe didn't perform that well, but for now we can see that the teams in Europe are like closer. The level of the teams is closer, so it's hard to tell. It's not like one team is dominating the whole region. So I wouldn't say it's so weak, but I mean, compared to the other region, I would say, yeah, we might be a bit behind for now, but we're gonna get there, I believe.
Well, we'll find out. We are getting closer and closer to the end of the split and playoffs. Let's talk a little bit about meta very quickly. What's your take on 6.12 in the current state of the game? Supports in particular seem to have gone a much squishier, much more utility-focused route than we were seeing maybe earlier in this year or even last year.
Yeah, in support you see much more variety of champions. I think you're able to play like more and more, but range, because you wanna like have a lane bully champ, and then you just wanna translate your advantage into like vision, objectives and stuff. And we see less and less like hard engage, because the fights are so long and so high range. So you just gotta adapt.
Yeah, gotta adapt, use what works in the current meta. Congratulations again on the 2-0. With that, we're gonna head back over to the analyst desk to wrap up the series.
Thank you very much, Quickshot. Always fantastic to hear for Yellowstar. So glad that he's back. I love that setup over there as well. Wrapping up the game, though, Fnatic really looked like they knew exactly what they were doing in Game 2. Most confident game of this week for them.
Yeah, definitely the case, especially seeing this Olaf Shen combo. I really liked it. It was the first time that Fnatic have brought it out, and it worked fantastically. It was great to see just Gamsu and Spirit running at the enemy team and being that front line that we've been excited to see from this duo pair.
Let's take a look at one of the first replays where Fnatic start to build their advantage very early in the game with that combo.
Yeah, so this is, all you have to do with the Olaf is you run at them with your Ragnarok, and then because they can't pop your shield, there's no way for them to kill you or stop you. You have an easy avenue for the Shen to join the party and then throw down all his frontline and tankiness and CC and everything that makes this Shen great. So really enjoyed that combo. combo, and it allowed Fnatic to build up a very powerful early game. And things were looking so good for them for such a long time, and all they needed to do was slowly close the game out. Unfortunately...
A bump in the road.
A bump in the road, yeah.
Let's take a look. Baron started and then in the end not finished by Fnatic, but they didn't let it stop them.
No, they didn't. So the actual setup for this was good from Fnatic because they put a lot of emphasis onto trying to shut down Airwax. They force him away, and with the smite gone, Fnatic feel, okay, we can go for the Baron now. This is fine for us. If ROCCAT try to re-engage, we can then just turn it around and pick up a couple extra kills, and that's exactly what they do. They catch Raze out of position, they catch Parang out of position, Betsy is instantly going to fall, but this was actually a big misplay from Febiven because he's separated himself from the rest of his team. He ends up going down, and then the moment Reckless goes back into the pit, they have no vision of Airwax until it's too late, and he's able to get the steal. So ROCCAT, after that play, now have the opportunity to buy themselves some time, wait for a little bit longer into the later stages of play and think, oh, maybe we can turn this game around. Maybe we can actually take the game off of Fnatic. But then Fnatic turn around and say,
nope.
Did you forget that we had this Olaf Shen combo? And they do exactly what they did earlier on.
Yeah, we're going to take a look at the end of the game team fight right away, because as said, Fnatic had created a lot of leeway for themselves, of course, in the majority of that game that they could overcome this.
Yes, they could. And this is the power of Spirit. Just, yeah, he just, this is what I imagine it's like going to like a German rave party where you just can't stop the dancing, because there was nothing stopping Spirit right there. He just ran straight towards the team of ROCCAT, picked up the kills that they needed, and then with a 5-0, they end up cleaning out the game.
Oh, I'm thinking of some YouTube video with a Viking
Yes.
dancing. Is that what you're thinking of? Okay, player of the game, Spirit.
Well deserved.
Yeah, we always mention him, but obviously there's sometimes people that pick up more kills or do some more flashy actions, but Spirit is just having a great split so far.
He certainly is. And you have to remember that in game one, he had such great pressure from the Elise onto the backline. You heard Crepo talking about it earlier on. And in game two, he was just a large reason as to why Fnatic were able to start off all these fights. So it was great to see Spirit moving away from the Kazakhs and picking up somewhat unconventional junglers, but making it work in a way that Fnatic can take advantage of.
Yeah, definitely Fnatic 2-0, no ties, and over on EU LCS 1, it looked like it was going to be a tie between Schalke and the Giants as they started really, really well in that second game, but things got a bit crazy, so we're going to actually take a look at what happened in game 2 over there.
Yes, so things were going fantastically for Giants early on. Everything looked great. The way in which Giants were executing their comp was fantastic, and you can see this was actually a Baron fight where Smitty J was just going crazy on this Aurelia. He was set up for success so well early on, and then Giants, they go for a Baron, and exactly the same fashion, a Gragas comes over the wall and gets the steal. And because Gilius is able to get the steal and get out, Schalke get themselves one kill, they get themselves a second kill. Giants start to fall apart, and even after such the massive advantage
behind
that Giants were able to accrue, they just couldn't stop the onslaught from Schalke. They just ran into the base of Giants. They just take everything away. They get the picks, and then they close out the game off of a single play. And that's just got to be devastating for Giants, because that was their game. And then just this seems to be a thing that they've done in the past. So they go for a Baron play, they throw it away, and unfortunately, they come out with the 0 for 2.
Yeah, a horrible ending there for Giants, but Schalke obviously very nice for them. Gilius play of the game off that and making that happen. Totally understandable, and on EULCS 1, Vitality is going to gear up for facing G2. However, here on EULCS 2, we need to take a quick break, but don't go anywhere. H2K versus the Unicorns of Love is coming up next.